Hello, everyone, and welcome to the TopsTV community. I'm your host, and I'm excited to take you on a tour of Mexico City's most famous tombs. In this video, I'm going to show you some of the places where the remains of personalities that marked Mexico's history, culture, and entertainment rest. From Pedro Infante to Chespirito, Benito Juárez, and Maria Felix, these tombs are testimonies of the life and death of these Mexican icons. Join me on a tour of Mexico City's most emblematic cemeteries and discover the stories hidden behind their mausoleums. Let's get started. Pedro Infante. Pedro Infante was one of the most outstanding Mexican actors and singers of the Mexican Golden Age from the 1930s to the 1960s. He was born in Mazatlan, Sinaloa, on November 18, 1917. Born in Mazatlan, Sinaloa, on November 18, 1917, he showed his talent for music and acting from a very young age. He recorded more than 300 songs, mainly of the ranchero and mariachi genre, and participated in more than 60 films, many of them considered classics of Mexican national cinema. Some of his most famous films are Nosotros los Pobres, Pepe el Toro, Los Tres Huastecos, A Toda Máquina, and Tizic. For his performance in the latter, he won a Silver Bear at the Berlin International Film Festival and a Golden Globe in Hollywood. Pedro Infante died on April 15, 1957, at the age of 39, in a tragic plane crash in Mérida, Yucatan. His death caused a great commotion in Mexico and throughout Latin America, where he was admired by millions of people. His funeral was massive, and his tomb in the Panteón Jardín in Mexico City became a place of pilgrimage for his fans who pay tribute to him with flowers, candles, and songs. Pedro Infante is considered a cultural icon of Mexico and one of the most genuine representatives of Mexican culture. Benito Juárez. Benito Juárez was a Mexican liberal politician who served as president of Mexico on several occasions, from January 21, 1858 to July 18, 1872. He was the first president of indigenous Zapotec origin and is known as El Benemérito de las Americas, the meritorious of the Americas. During his government, he promoted reforms that sought to modernize the country, such as the separation of church and state, freedom of the press, agrarian reform, and secular education. He also faced the Reform War against the conservatives and the French intervention, which sought to impose Maximilian of Habsburg as Emperor of Mexico. Benito Juárez died of an acute myocardial infarction on July 18, 1872, in Mexico City. His remains were buried in the San Fernando Pantheon, a historic cemetery where the tombs of other illustrious figures of Mexico's history, such as Miguel Hidalgo, José María Morelos, and Vicente Guerrero, are also located. Juárez's tomb is one of the most visited and admired in the cemetery, since it has a neoclassical architecture and a marble sculpture representing the president with his characteristic frock coat and top hat. The tomb was built by architect Ramón Rodríguez Arangoiti and sculptor Miguel Noreña, and cost 10,000 pesos of the time, which were donated by the Mexican people. The tomb was finished in 1873, but it was not inaugurated until 1880, when Juárez's remains were moved from the San Diego Temple, where they had been temporarily deposited. Since then, Juárez's tomb has been a symbol of Mexico's sovereignty and democracy, and a place of homage and respect for Mexicans. Before we continue, don't forget to like and subscribe. We also invite you to activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Tintin. Tintin, whose real name was German Genaro Cipriano Gómez Valdez Castillo, was a Mexican actor, singer, and comedian who became famous for his Pachuco style, which combined Mexican and American culture. He participated in more than 100 films, many of them musical comedies, and recorded more than 100 songs of various genres. He also lent his voice to the character of Baloo in the Disney film The Jungle Book. He died at the age of 57 on June 29, 1973, of cancer of which he was unaware. His tomb, located in the Panteon Jardín in Mexico City, is one of the most visited by his fans, who pay tribute to him dressed as pachucos and singing and dancing to his songs. Tintin is considered a legend of Mexican cinema and an icon of popular culture. Maria Felix. Maria Felix, the great Mexican actress and singer, died on her 88th birthday, April 8, 2002. Her body was buried in the French Pantheon in Mexico City, in grave 236, next to the remains of her parents and her son Enrique Alvarez Felix, also an actor, who died 6 years before her. Her grave is one of the most visited by her admirers, who pay tribute to her with photos, flowers, and songs. Maria Felix is considered a legend of Mexican cinema and a symbol of popular culture. Roberto Gómez Bolaños. Roberto Gómez Bolaños was a famous Mexican actor, comedian, writer, and television director who used the pseudonym Chespirito. He was born on February 21, 1929 in Mexico City and died on November 28, 2014 in Cancun due to a degenerative disease. He was the creator and performer of iconic characters such as El Chavo del Ocho and El Chapulín Colorado, which were broadcast in more than 50 countries and remain very popular to this day. His talent and humor made him one of the references of Latin American culture and one of the best comedians of all time. He is buried in the Piedad French Pantheon in Mexico City, where many admirers come to pay tribute to him and remember his works. I hope you enjoyed this tour of the most famous tombs in Mexico City. If you liked the video, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel, and activate the little bell so you don't miss any content. Thanks for joining us in this adventure, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.